I'm a male champion of change in the STEM group, and signing up to be a male champion of change does mean that you make certain commitments. The Male Champions of Change was started by Liz Broderick, the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, or former Sex Discrimination Commissioner, when she had that role. And it was about recognising the fact that at the current trajectory we're on, to get gender equality into the Australian workforce, and particularly in leadership in business, we're sort of about 130 years away at the velocity that we've got. And she felt like that was too long, and that after years of having worked with women to try and change that outcome, that with all the progress that had been made, if she didn't reach out and get men to stand beside women and to recognise that actually it's not women that need to change, but the system that needs to change to allow women to have the same opportunities of men, that it just wasn't going to happen. And so she started that with 15 CEOs, there's now 140 to 150 of us. The reason I signed up is one that the women in our business have probably struggled with a little bit. I signed up as a basic human rights issue. To me, it was very challenging for me to think that we were bringing people of equal potential into our business, yet the likelihood that they were going to attain the same level in their careers was 10x one versus the other. And it wasn't anything about the input that was coming in, it was the organisation that we were running, the industry we're a part of, that meant that the probability for some people of reaching senior levels, the facts just said, were so much greater than for others. The reason that I say the women in our business don't all like that being an issue is they feel like that's a personal issue to me, which it is, and they're not unhappy that it's a personal issue to me, but they really want it also to be about a business reason. And there is a business reason behind it as well. All of the research says that diversity gets better outcomes, that we will be developing better products, that we'll have better client relationships, and that we will be a stronger, more robust, more successful and more profitable organisation if we can achieve better diversity across the organisation. Those are all important things to me. Building profits are important, building strong customer relationships are important, building great products are important. But I have to be honest, if I prioritise, for me the human rights issue is a stronger one than driving company profits. But I do absolutely believe that if we can achieve better gender outcomes, we will do both, and therefore I'm very committed to that outcome. As a male champion of change, there's a few things that you sign up to. The first is that you're going to set external targets and publish your results against those targets. And I think it just goes back to what gets measured gets managed. And so we have done that both externally, which is what we signed up to, but we've also done it internally. So we publish all of that data internally and share it across the business. What that has led to is the fact that we've had to educate right across the business. That's been unconscious bias education. And that was probably one of the real light bulb moments for me, just realising that everyone has biases. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from, you can't not have biases because you've walked a journey that isn't average and typical, it is unique to you. And so starting off there. The hardest thing for us in our business, and I'm happy to share with you, we have 41% of our 1,500 team members are women, 38% of our leadership team are women. And those aren't bad numbers to be starting with, and I think we've always had quite an inclusive culture. The biggest problem for us is in our software engineering team, where at the moment 17% of graduates from computer science degrees in Australia are women. When you look at our business, we're at 22%, but when you look at leadership roles in our software engineering team, we're at 8%. And so if you hone in just on that team, it's very difficult because there are many places where you will be the two women of 40 in the room, if you look at that particular part of our business. If we got that part of our business to be more representative, then overall we'd be much closer to 50-50. We have a 15% gender pay gap at MYOB. It's down from 17.6% 2 years ago. We've brought that down by increasing the senior women in the business and by doing a like-for-like pay audit. And one of the things you sign up for as a male champion of change is that on an annual basis you will do a pay audit to make sure that man and woman aren't doing the same role and being paid differently for that role. The source of the 15% is that our software engineers are more highly paid than other functions in our business. And while women are underrepresented in that group, and particularly underrepresented in leadership roles in that group, we will have a gender pay difference. There's no other way about it. Those skills are in high demand. They get higher pay increases than other skills across the business and across the economy, and that will exist. So the commitment that we have made is in that group at entry level, that we will have at least 40%, we set as a first target. So it's about 17% coming out of university. We're going to be employing at 40%. We can't do that just by bringing people out of university. So we have put in place a program called Develop Her, where we bring mature age, experienced women out of other functions into software engineering. We put them on a paid internship, which is 6 months on full salary, where we work with them to get their software engineering skills up to the level of a 3-year undergraduate, and then put them into our software team. So we just said we can't wait for the high school education system to get more women into STEM, and we can't wait for universities to be getting better gender equality. So we're just wearing that as a cost in our P&L to make sure in our business we're getting better representation of women. I could keep going on, but that's probably enough of me. When I first signed up as a male champion of change, we did a listening tour. It's sort of, there's a prescribed way that you do it through the organisation, but it effectively was focus groups with senior men in the business, senior women in the business, and junior women in the business who were starting their careers. And the thing that shocked me was how closely aligned the feedback was between senior men and junior women, and how different the feedback was from senior women in the organisation. And effectively, everyone had good intent, but the experience of the women who had built successful careers, and not just in our business, you know, they'd built successful careers and had joined our business somewhere along the way, was that their views had moved a lot from the women who were just starting on their career path. And the senior men and the junior women were sort of more or less, well, I think if we all stare into this, if we just put a few policies in place, we'll be fine. Like, it was this sort of good intent is going to be good enough. And the unconscious bias absolutely exists. I mean, Liz Broderick talks about it being like asbestos. It's in the walls, it's in the ceiling, it's in the air. You can't see it, but it's extraordinarily detrimental to everybody who's present. And it's trying to get at those things, and you know, I mean, working through a supply chain, I think, is a great way of doing it and having impact. But it's actually changing that intent into impact.